I welcome you to our daily Bible study. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and today we're going to continue on in our 21st series, Discovering Yourself. Today's lesson will be entitled, The Search for the Meaning of Life, Part 2. As we look at the scripture, we're going to go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 9. But I want to start first of all with Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. The scripture says, "Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was." Very interesting. "And the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity." And so here we find that excuse me, it was God who created the body. We understand that God created all things, but here the scripture speaks of a literal end of human life. Human life has a life expectancy, so much time, so many years, so much time to devote to the purposes in which an individual was created to perform. The scripture says the time is coming when the wheel of life for all mankind will either go or end in one or two ways. Number one, it will end with mankind going back to the dust because of the entropic principle that is housed within the physical body. Or secondarily, it will wind up becoming glorified through one or two processes. Either the physical body will be raptured up and translated, becoming glorified, or by way of the grave, God will call up the souls and then wrap it in what we would call a glorified body. But he goes on, he says, "And it will go to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it." And so he's speaking about now the breath of life, that animatory process that's linked not within the soul, but linked within the physiology. There's something that took place when God created Adam. First of all, the union of the breath and the dust that was formed systemically to house the breath, it produced a living soul. And now that the living soul is produced, there is still breath of life that now animates the physiology. God does not pull back his breath from the soul, but because the living essence of the physiological has to be transformed, it must be changed. And so all of these things bring us to the question, why? Why did God create us as physical beings? And why did he create us as a living soul? What is the purpose for the soul being housed within the physical body and thus being housed within the physical realm? Purpose then talks about meaning. Purpose talks about the fulfillment of a pre-planned schedule or a pre-planned association of completing or objective that God has placed within us. And so everything is pre-planned. Every purpose is pre-planned before the foundation of the world. And the time limit and the time constraints are also planned by God, which means we all have a certain degree of time to fulfill, to discover what God has done and what God is seeking to do with us. And so when we talk about the search for the meaning of life, meaning is synonymous to purpose. Many people start going on a search because they're trying to discover who they are and what is the purpose for living, what is the meaning of life. And it is impossible to find in a human perspective without the aid of God. And we have to understand that no man, no individual, no human finds their purpose without God. There are times that God is working behind the scene through circumstances. There are times that God is allowing angels to move, to speak to us, to counsel us, to inspire us to look in specific things. But all who find purpose, they do so because of the leading and the guiding of the Spirit of God. It is impossible for mankind to discover his purpose because he does not understand fully how he is formed and the script that is placed within him to achieve the reason why he does exist. When we come to know God, we can now come to understand, first of all, who we are, because who we are is directly relational to who God is. God deals with us in specific arenas because he knows who we are. He knows what he's trying to get us to achieve, to become, and how he's trying to get us to mature into something greater than where we're standing or positioned in life. And so it is, again, only possible to discover purpose when you discover the individual who caused or set purpose into alignment. Because God is the only one who knows why there are individuals and why all humans don't have the same personality or look the same. God then has purposed a reason for our existence, and everything in our life causes us to start appearing and being shaped and becoming what we were meant to be, with the personality, with the character, and with the drive. All of those things are written within the context of the script that is placed within us. And the script that is placed within us causes us to now start charting specific behaviors, to start charting specific focuses, and to start charting those focuses within a specific way. God has placed these things in us in great detail, but he's giving us the capacity to make choices, to decide which way we'll turn, which way we will perspectivize. And in the experiences of our life, then what occurs, we start searching and looking at specific things as the Spirit of God is drawing us. Even before we get saved, we're being drawn and we're being shapen. We're being drawn into a capacity that is causing us to pique our interest in certain things. And these certain things will either become very successful or non-successful in appeasing us. And as we go through these scenarios, our mind then begins to be shaped. We begin to look towards something. Those things will either cause us much unrest, unsettlement. They may not even fulfill us, but they will cause us to search and to seek out. And there is a fundamental thesis written within the hearts of man, and that is to always seek the power of all powers. There is always a question and always a situation that brings us to the point where we ask God, Lord, if you're real. And that is the human spirit with the script to try to go back to the state of being connected with God, to go back to the state of being in fellowship with God. I am so sorry. We are out of time, and we will continue this lesson at the next study. This has been our daily Bible study, and I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves. I thank you for joining us.